The night before heading to my parents' house for the holidays, I packed my bags. The next day, my in-laws beat me unconscious. My husband promises to go to my hometown with me for the New Year holidays this year after I go to his. But before the trip to my hometown is due, he suddenly tells me he doesn't want to go anymore. I argue with him about this, and he pummels me with a bat. Meanwhile, his family eggs him on, telling him to kill me. Intense pain shoots through me as the blows land. I try my best to fight back, but I can't win against the majority. As the sky darkens, everyone heads home for dinner after giving me a good beating. When I regain consciousness in a corner of the garden, I see Sense, my husband, and I dated and eventually got married out of love. We worked at the same company, but in different departments. By chance, we got to know each other because we were assigned to work on the same project. Upon meeting me, my husband, Gordon Baker, fell in love with me at first sight. After that, he went to great lengths to pursue me. I was already 28 and not exactly young anymore. My family had been urging me to get married. They even said that if I didn't bring home a significant other by the new year, they would start making arrangements for me to go on blind dates with potential suitors. He had a sunny disposition and handsome looks. I'd found it hard to resist his advances. The fact that he was exactly my type earned him extra brownie points too, and so I agreed to become his girlfriend. We dated for 2 years, during which we met each other's parents. With both our families urging us and egging us on, we thought it was time to settle down and naturally got married. This year was our first New Year together as a married couple. Being newly married, I was homesick, so I discussed it with Gordon and suggested that we spend a few days at his parents' home and then head to my parents' home for New Year's Eve. At first, Gordon wasn't too happy about it, but he couldn't resist my pleas. But he gave in. Seeing that he still seemed a little upset, I bought him the gaming console he had been eyeing, but hesitated to get for himself. I hoped that this would cheer him up. After Gordon got his hands on the new console, he couldn't stop smiling. Once everything was decided, I started preparing for our trip. Soon it was a week before New Year's Eve. We packed up our bags and drove over to his hometown. When we arrived, Gordon's parents and siblings were thrilled to see us. They were pleased, since I had thoughtfully prepared valuable gifts for each of them. Because of this, I had a wonderful time at his parents' house over the next few days. Everything went well until it was New Year's Eve. As I was worried about traffic during the inevitable festive travel rush, I packed everything we needed to take to my parents' home into the car on the day before New Year's Eve. I also reminded Gordon to go to bed early. My plan was to get up early and set off. That way, we would arrive in time to have dinner with my parents on New Year's Eve. The thought of going home soon and seeing my parents, whom I hadn't seen in half a year, filled me with so much excitement that I couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, I opened my eyes just as the alarm started ringing. Upon seeing that Gordon was still asleep, I gently woke him up. "Gordon, I'll go wash up first. You should get up soon and get ready. We can grab a quick bite as we head out." I was so excited that I didn't notice the unnatural expression that flashed across his face when I said this. After I finished washing up and getting ready, I waited for a while but didn't see Gordon come out. When I checked the time, I saw that it was already 9:30 a.m. If we set off any later, we would most likely be caught in awfully heavy traffic. I hurried back into the bedroom to check on Gordon. When I opened the door, I saw him still buried under the covers, sleeping soundly. His thundering snores echoed loudly in the room. I lifted the blanket slightly and saw the dark circles under his eyes as well as his fatigued appearance. Then I thought about how he had been so busy preparing for the New Year's festivities that he barely got enough sleep each night. Besides, it wasn't absolutely necessary to leave in the morning based on my estimation. Setting off after lunch would still be fine. So I tucked the blanket around him snugly and left the room quietly. Once I was in the front yard, I called my parents to let them know that Gordon and I would be arriving a bit later. After hanging up the call, I went to the kitchen to start preparing lunch. After lunch, I began urging Gordon to drive me to my parents' house. "I've already packed everything. You just need to drive," I said, pulling him toward the car. "It's a long drive. You can drive for a while first. When we reach a rest area, we'll switch. That way, we won't get too tired and we'll get home sooner. Maybe we'll even make it in time for dinner."